Okay, I guess I'm going to do the introduction. Welcome all to our Gate to Fair Trade Fashion webinar. And today we're going to be looking at our second attendance at Source Fashion in London. So I wanted to thank you very much, WFTO team, for hosting this webinar today and for allowing us and collaborating with us on this beautiful project where most of the efforts are going towards advocacy, towards bringing our WFTO fashion members to market. So as you know, we participated last January in a beautiful trade show event in London called Source Fashion. We had a very promising start over there, and we will be attending that same show in July. So we will go a little bit about the whole process again with all of you. So as you know, we are welcoming on a joint Gate to Fair Trade Fashion stance selected members. There's a curation process going on. But I will leave it to Dondrill to introduce that a little bit in details. So just before I give the floor to our guest, Dondrill Glover, I would like to present her for those who might not know her yet. So Dondrill is a cultural strategist and creative diplomacy architect who has spent more than a decade working with artisan communities across over 50 countries. Through her work in global handmade markets, storytelling, and heritage craft advocacy, she has helped connect artisan traditions with contemporary fashion and international buyers. Of course, all that while championing women-led creative economies and cultural preservation. She is a big advocate of fair trade and fair trade movements, has been involved in many initiatives. I'm not going to go to the details through that, but she is our curator and she is leading our activities at Source Fashion. Please welcome her very warmly. Thank you, Dondrill, for joining us all the way from New York.
Yes.
I hope you will have a good webinar.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for that generous introduction. It's so wonderful to be here with all of you. As you mentioned, we're on the second leg of the project, and I couldn't be more excited. We've come back armed with a lot of additional information to share with you and really to take a deeper dive into trends and expectations around the show. So we're going to get started with our presentation today. Okay, so let me. Okay, fantastic. So here we are with our Gateway to Fair Trade Fashion 2026. As Isabella mentioned, this is our second leg of the project that will be happening in July from the 7th through the 9th, but we'll dig in. This is an opening to the show, and so I want you to know that these images here, that runway is a very powerful space, and that's going to be really driven in many of the things that we talk about today. In terms of our table of contents, we'll go through the mission, the changing perspectives, the mission for the project managers, market access, the Source Fashion Show, booth concept, merchandising, our fixtures, and then of course section 2 we'll dig deep into fashion trend report, capsule collection, concepts, curations, traditions and techniques, conscious couture, submission guidelines and criteria. So the mission for the FTO, of course, it is to enable producers to improve their livelihoods through communities, through fair trade. And one of the top five guided missions for us is network leadership, sharing and learning, awareness and advocacy, market access, and capacity enhancement. The changing of perspectives. And this sort of gives us a window of why we're diving deeper into the fair trade fashion. As we know that fashion is recognized a critical area in achieving sustainable development goals, offering an immense potential drive to measurable impact in both communities and the environment. fair fashion enterprises are accelerating change across the sector, proving that environmental and social sustainability can coexist with timeless aesthetics and product excellence. The Gateway to Fair Trade Fashion, our mission, this particularly for us, is it's a collaborative project aimed to strengthen the ethical fashion industry. Its mission is to enhance visibility, market access, and capacity for small producer groups, ethical brands guided by principles and circularity, gender equity, and economic justice. This vision is to create a fashion system both for people and the planet. Of course, you've just met myself and we know Isabella, so I think that we can move forward with this slide. But I have to say, I'm quite privileged to be working beside her. So I want to give her a major kudos for that and her accomplishments and how she continues to move the button for us. Let's dive into this is, of course, Fashion Source New York. Let's first talk about the access of the market because this is really important. This is the window that we enter into the trade industry where we have that visibility and the access to the types of buyers who want to support the efforts and are buying into conscious fashion. So trade shows open a door for brands to step directly into the wholesale, offering unique spaces to meet buyers face to face and lasting connections. These events are more than sales opportunities, as we know. They're a stage for storytelling, trend spotting, and positioning your brand for growth. Now, the five key basics to keep in mind is to connect with buyers, showcase your brand, spot trends early, drive sales in real time at the moment, expand your network. The new innovative actions that's happening at shows is the immersiveness of the brand world. Small digital catalogs, VIP buyer appointments, shared content spots, and of course, the personalized follow-ups. Those are your, let's say that's our 10, the basics and the innovative actions that really make trade shows a very vital space in the marketplace. So let's dive into this show and particularly, I'm sure like many of you, this was my first time attending this show and the stats were pretty impressive. We're still waiting for stats for the second end, but this increased just within a year. The Source Fashion UK is the new sustainable sourcing show. Source Fashion is the biggest ready-made garment manufacturing show in Europe and the biggest B2B fashion trade show in the UK. The mission of the show, of course, responsibility, inspiration, and connection. The highlights that you can expect is the Source Catwalk, which is pretty spectacular, seminars, guest speakers, and over 300 global manufacturers. Show attendee stats, it's high profile retail buyers. Of course, over 8,000 plus registered in 225. Of course, that's up from 36%. I can only imagine that those figures are even higher. 70% that are attending have purchasing power, and 92% are focused on newness. And it's a 3-day show attendance. Before we move from this slide, I also want to note that in the profile of the attendees, retailers. You also have designers who are looking to launch artisan brands. They're looking for partnerships. You also have press that are looking to report on the latest trends, the more sustainable brands, as they all are, but there are particular niche sections that they are impressed with. So we have an opportunity in 3 to 4 categories in making connections for brand visibility and potential of partnerships and doing business together. This, I want to take you a little market view of what we saw in January. As you see, these huge big backdrops are strongly about fashion. It's very fashion forward. It's very couture in a sustainable way driven. The runway is the center of the show, which happens about 3 times during the day. But here's just to give you a bit of a window on how forward and progressive the fashion concepts and the designs are at the show. So this, we're going to talk about our booth and what the concept is around the booth. It's the conscious closet. It's where style tells us this picture here. The idea was around building a closet. What does a closet look like? You've got your pockets of where your dresses are, your shirts, your jewelry, your shoes, really carving out a spot as if it was a closet that you get to walk into, making a closet a room. So where there is racks, shelves, in the middle, there's a table. We have ladders to give you what it sort of looks like. We've got a 10 by 10, and from all four sides, all three sides are taking up with the racks, the walls, the shelves, additional space where we have our fixtures, and also you have the very front of the booth that is open, which the main feature is that would be a table. We do color code the clothing that's coming in so that it gives the buyer a much easier eye, that things look as if they flow together. And of course, we keep categories together. Part of this, the main thing is that the collections, they flow in a very seamless way. You see the versatility of the garments. It's a statement and showcasing artistry, sustainability, and style. Here we have the booth merchandising fixtures. And of course, I mentioned the shelves. We typically had about three really big shelves. They sit up high. So they're actually on the edge of the booth. So buyers are able to see it when they walk by, even walking down the aisle. And of course, once you come in, we have ladders that are going to be used for our scarves. Again, we have our table, so that's a mixture of folded scarves, sweaters, and other bigger presentations. All racks for the clothing are the racks that we have happen to be white, but they are just as this image that you find here with the gold. They just happen to be white. A few little stands, as you'll see here. There's hats that are here. You know, of course, we were heavy on hats during the January show, which happened to do very well. So we made sure to have a strong presentation of those along with another fixture. And of course, for jewelry, jewelry ear stands, and of course, some things that we lie flat on a tray. Um, we also have baskets that will largely be on the racks, but because of the size, we also have a wonderful space underneath to stack them a very stylish way on the floor. So that's something that kind of spills over where we're using every inch of the booth for merchandising and telling the story through the conscious fashion and, of course, the messaging of the initiative. Here we are diving into the access of what forecasters are saying. I'm sorry, Isabella, there's a little line here that's blocking my reading. So I don't know why that is, but I'll just kind of go back from what I know. I know this meeting. It's okay. I'll just try to, if I can bring it down a little bit. Let's see. Okay. All right. So this, I'll tell you, it's about the transformative teal, and we're translating what fashion color and palette means. Teal was the color of the year, and what has made this color so special. As you can see in our presentation, it has gone across what our summer teals look like that are mixed with these dusty roses and little soft desert clays and really sort of clean taupes. You have images here of showing you not only the floral capacity, which went into textiles, but you also see a glimpse of what's happening in home. And why you see that is that once the color of the year or different interpretations come out, you're going to see that colored thread throughout fashion, throughout product design. So that means from packaging to home decor to fashion, even sometime to makeup colors. And so it's really important to sort of get a global gauge on why colors are that impactful, where they're aligned, and how they translate in various pigments. Again, you'll see you'll see a design room where you've got the interior design based around 10, the teal color. This color was presented as something that was transformative. It reflects the desire for color and to restore rather than to overwhelm. The shades feel immersive, grounded, emotionally intelligent. It's the color of a thoughtful, living artisan touch. Can't see the bottom of that. So from summer as we go into fall. When I look at teal, I see mineral rich colors. I also see levels of jewels. And you'll also know as we move over to fall and winter, you'll see the translation of that going a little bit more green. You'll see some forest green in that. You also see a bit of gray mixed with blue. You see some olive. Notice how color moves in range. And what I love about this, it's taken me through what our summer has looked like with these colors and product and fashion to the more jewel sort of dressier tones to with a little bit more earthiness here. And we're diving deep into color because one of the things that really came out in terms of fashion at this show was it is very, very fashion forward, and color and category matter to buyers as they are looking not only for the season, but what will be reflective of their consumer. What do the consumers love? And they are watching the larger markets to sort of gauge what that looks like. We just do our colors more sustainably. They're organic, and they actually are actually good for the environment. So I'll go to the next one. Here we have the burnt terracotta and the rose. This is a palette that I'm really, really excited about because it feels very rose. There's always a place for it. It feels earthy. It feels next to the sun. It feels warm. And then you get that wonderful pop when they do a brighter pink. But this is warmth. It's what we call a weathered beauty. So think of the elements of a dusty rose. Think of sand. Think of the desert. Think of the backdrop of the sun. Clay. We think of the light, we think of faded textiles, and also we think of the artisan hand. Reflections of images here, they are, again, of course, they are couture. They are the lead in terms of bringing the color out in high fashion. But what do we do in our league? We sort of tail these things down to our sustainable materials. We scale them down to the artisan hand so they have a more even a unique technique and presentation. They've been done by hand, a well-worn craft that is honored in tradition. This shade presents as romantic. It's also balancing, it's rich, and it also has that level of softness. You'll see the interpretation in checks. You'll see them in strong block prints. You see them in sweater and knit and silk. You get to run the gamut with some of these color trends. So that is sort of translating how this color is on the market. Here's the terracotta. Again, one of the things that we think about terracotta right off the bat, we know that it's earthy. That we know that it's whether we're making a pot, whether we're forming clay in the ground, whether the sun hits it. This is the translation here. It gets an edge of sophistication. Of course, the warmth is there, but it's rooted in the view of ancient clay. So imagine that. And what has come out of that interpretation, you see a little bit more sort of your ethnic presentation that has a sense of storytelling. You're seeing very clean, classic, more modern contemporary pieces in this terracotta blend. You're seeing silks, and you're also seeing the everyday woman mixing some of those colors with outerwear, but really beautiful materials. But where I want us to focus in looking in here is looking at how the interpretations has come through the handmade pieces here. You have drops of strong pots of the color, but also some light that's been infused in. So think about that earthy way that we can present this color trend in our sustainable and fair trade fashion. Here, this is one of my absolute favorites because it really highlighted the jewel tones. Because jewel has been coming through for several markets. I saw it really strong at Maison Objet in January in terms of furniture design. There is something that is rich and very, very elegant about jewel tones, and they translate. It shows, of course, drama. It shows depth. It feels very opulent, which is, very rich. Of course, the amethyst, the sapphire. There's a whole palette of jewels, but it invokes a touch of style that has wonderful movement. If you can see how the jewel tones move if you're wearing silk. But I want to draw you into the handmade, the cape here in the embellishment. Look at the high glamour and then this amazing handmade technique that goes in with gold with that strong, big statement embellishment. This is the kind of immersion that is very inspiring in taking our handmade techniques and merging them into our higher fashion categories, making them sustainable, letting people know that what the possibility is in working with handmade techniques and partnering with artisan groups at whatever tier of design that they're doing, as long as it is conscious. But luxury is a space that we should be moving into so that people understand that in handmade, it is an art, a very well revered art, and can be used in all forms. This is one of my favorites as well because this is the street of everyday women and how they're dressing and how you really get to see clothes, how they're interpreted, how they move, and how they're worn. What you'll find, particularly in Western markets, is that ready to wear is a really strong category because it gives you the opportunity to layer designs. What we call an everyday sophistication, things that are timeless, pieces that are designed for longevity. This is where we come in with our conscious and fair trade fashion, the duration of the fashion, the quality. But knowing that the cotton shirt, this is the cotton shirt worn with a pair of ripped jeans. Ripped jeans have not gone out of style. The layering of different components with them is ever evolving. It's a simple cotton shirt, but in terms of the style, it's next level. Here, denim with gabardine, but also mixed with knit, dressed up where it is a fancy, more stylish statement. The classic sweater. This style sweater was really popular for the winter show for us, but this pencil skirt has came back. Look at the knitwear pants, layered trench coats with hoodies and layers, and of course the classic business suit in this wonderful big bold stripe. So think about everyday fashion, multiple pieces because they're worn and layered to come up with a unique style for the actual client. Knitwear. As you know, many of our artists, a lot of you have incredible knitwear collections. Knitwear has come out really strong. And why do people love it so much? They love the comfort, they love the structure, the softness, the warmth, all of the sort of heritage weaving, the silhouette, the stitch. Here's various interpretations of knitwear and how it is translating on the market. Notice the color palettes, notice the variety of weave, and notice the different styles that it's worn. Here you've got this sort of fun argyle print short set down to a very clean, classic, strong, bold knit with white on white, which is sort of a winter tone. You've got your larger, more bigger statement pieces, which is more of a runway aesthetic, but it goes back to the cozy and warm that was actually trending last year. It has gone on over into this season, but knitwear is very important, and it's important to present a variety, the big and chunky, the lean, and the silhouette driven color palettes, also some traditional pieces that can be worn because this is style and how people are dressing. Of course, jewelry. Jewelry is a big statement. I'm finding that gold and silver are still very present, along with sort of smaller beading. Mixing of the metals are a very strong story. Jewelry is still personalized, and when you see charms and those things can be very personal. You can often add what you like. Lab-grown stones, of course, the vibrant gems. The cuffs are a big standout. That continues to happen. It was last year, it's this year, and it is forward. So when you think about jewelry, think about bold statements, but also really fine detail where they can see the craftsmanship that has gone into the jewelry making. Oh, good. Thank you. I can see that better. So handbags, we know that totes, particularly on our end, continue to drive a very strong presentation for us. So whether we have the woven tote, which I absolutely love, you'll see this blend of colors that are stripes, even the wovenness across the handbag, the handles of the bag. Notice this is a soft tote, so you're able to sort of carry that in the inner elbow. You can carry it down right. It has space. It opens up and it's soft. The woven bag with the leather trim, that continues to be evolved in style, where before it was just sort of a rustic tote bag, but now you're seeing hardware like leather and trims. another woven bag. You're seeing the embellishment on the front with additional strong weaving statement. You're seeing color fused in. The raffia bag that's behind here, you'll see a very big pieces of raffia that are tightly woven in, but they're almost cut down to feel almost like carpet. But that is a true statement bag with a block of color. The woven bag that has larger netting with it. You've got the leather bottom. That's more of a stylish bag that you're wearing that is a little bit more refined in terms of the handles and the statement. The other bag that I've seen quite a bit that I love so much is this sort of puffy. We have the puffy coat. Well, now you've got the puffy bag. That's a very fall winter bag. People are doing it in lighter colors. And the shell bag. So when we think about embellishing bags, this particular technique happens to be seashells that have been layered and layered and layered. Now you'll find a bit of weight with that bag, but if you're using softer shells or softer stones or whatever you're using in terms of your what I say is sustainable in usage, what are those small pieces that you have that can build a story? This happens to be a seashell story. And the last bag over here is a really refined clutch that has been tightly woven. So this is another translation of what knitwear looks like. The capsule collection. We're framing this as a capsule collection because in a capsule collection you've got variety. It's very streamlined. You've got accessories that you can highlight the core brand offerings. You've got design that is easy, it's strong, it's got market appeal. Again, that ready to wear category in fashion is really, really strong because it's one of the most versatile collections that you can have because you're mixing it in with casual to dressy to comfort wear. It really holds a very large space in how we dress. And it for this, in terms of a capsule collection, you want that quality. You want it to be functional. You want it to be limited in the availability of the quality of the fabrics that you have, but it is limitless in terms of the options that you can provide for a customer in dressing for the life that they're living. So that for us is a very strategic tool for designers and brands. It's a great way to also test new ideas. The curation. So we're driving down these first four categories. We know that we have a lot of artisan brand knitwear. What I'm referring to as heritage design is an ethnic design, a design that's representing a culture, a place, a particular technique. That is a heritage that is long lasting. We're back to ready to wear, what that translates to, of course, accessories. For this show, we will present this curated collection of key categories and a variety of iterations of within each. We are particularly interested in things that are innovative, experimental, trend-forward pieces, demonstrating exceptional execution, how you can scale that, how relevant is the influence, and positioning artists, brands for stronger visibility and opportunity in the global stage. Our next curation vision, of course, here's other iterations of what knitwear can look like. Things in heritage design. Notice ready to wear is a very soft dress that can be worn. Accessories, we're getting woven bags that are coming up to be a little bit more classic in presentation. You'll notice the nice wide pocket, the very, very clean and tight weave. It gives a very, very contemporary presentation. The hat, the scarf has evolved. Again, for us, it's about presenting collections that are very forward. Experiment with doing things that are classic and very, very interesting. How you can continue to scale your brand and the selections that you're offering for buyers. This gives us a really strong statement on the global stage here. Number three, this is where we get down into a lot of the materials that are very present in handmade, reimagining things, mixing materials, recycling elements, indigenous techniques, shaped in beautiful modern silhouettes, and celebrating heritage and craftsmanship and innovation. Here's recycled canvas. It almost looks like a paper bag, but it feels very durable, being trimmed in leather and other hardware materials to sort of scale up how it looks, but just to give an option of what you can do with recycled canvas to give it a new image, the reinvention of it. The French textile tends to be very strong. It's an ever moving trend that's strong. It kind of gives you movement in textile, and also it kind of gives the print a story. If you move it, you'll notice that the print comes back in place. So it also gets to be a point of interest in art for a collection. And reimagined these indigenous techniques. Here is a very woven top, almost like a wipile, and mixed with a very simple cotton bottom. What a beautiful way to execute something soft and interesting where you're fusing modern contemporary and with a design technique that goes back for ancient design techniques, and think about those materials in that design technique. They're typically a lot heavier. And that's one of the things I've learned with buyers and clients who love woven materials. They love the technique, they love the print, but some of the challenges has been the weight of the clothing. And so we have to think about what it weighs, how you can wear it in a way that it's comfortable. So here we're taking the same technique, but we're making it a little bit more lighter weight. And part of that is fusing it in with other lighter weight materials that actually give it more movement and it makes it more wearable. Of course, mixed materials and handbags. We're doing the same thing in pillows and jewelry. This is a way to be experimental and also to show how different natural materials can verge together to create a whole new look. And of course, prints are really important here. This happens to be a block print. That is also a trend lasting a way of designing block print that also goes along with stripes. And so think about these kind of techniques as we're going through deciding what comes to the show. Here's where we dive into the traditions and techniques. So this is all about the kind of techniques that your brands are representative of. Whether you're doing block print, metal casting, beading, weaving, stitch work. We are highlighting the handmade technique within your design because that is really, I feel, the core, the foundation of what fair trade fashion is from an artisan lens. We're bringing in craft, we're bringing in this is the art that you carry by hand. This is what you bring to a design. And it's really the soul of culture. Invites audience to step into its heritage and connect with the maker's artistry. And this is what we want in the appreciation of the craft. This is what I call conscious couture. And this is runway driven. As I mentioned earlier, the show has about three runway shows within one day. And this is where the most eclectic, the most fashion forward, the most fantasy, innovation driven collections appear. And here are samples of what does runway look like? Runway is always slightly exaggerated in terms of the style, the color, the texture. It's bold in its presentation. So here is a space where we encourage you to be and be experimental. Imagine reimagining pieces that you have and taking them to the next level. So as you look at each image, it's almost like fashion on steroids, but yet it has a unique style. It's strong in presentation. It's forward in fashion. This show, I was really impressed with the runway. Even when you're starting to look at the images of the marketing of it, you're seeing bold fashion, the same thing that you would see at a show in Milan, a show in Italy or in Paris, of course, Milan in Italy. But these are the kinds of things. Every pocket of design is driven by what excites the larger market, and we trim it down to who we are in terms of our technique. But what I'd like to see with our artisans, I'd like to see us go a little bolder so that we can get to that runway. So that gives us strong visibility. And again, it lets a buyer, a designer, a manufacturer know the scalability of what you can do with your particular handmade technique and art. And so this is where we get our highest level of exploration and design. So be inspired with some of the things that you see here. Guidelines. I'm sure the part that you're all waiting for. These guidelines are designed to help your brand shine. So please review the following criteria and requirements carefully. They will outline exactly what's needed for your submission to be considered. Again, this is your opportunity to showcase craftsmanship, share your story, highlight the readiness for international markets. As we move through the next slide, we'll have a clear step-by-step guide for your images, brand details. So here, the design criteria, products that reflect a global trends that are timeless. Nothing that feels like fast fashion, of course, cohesive style, curated capsule themes, which these are the things that we'll be able to help and guide with as I look through your collections. Unique aesthetic, cultural authenticity. You're representing a craft, a heritage, and a culture. You're kind of an ambassador through craft and design, where you want to balance the artistry with market viability. And that's where that viability that dives into how contemporary, how forward. Although we have timeless, ancient, heritage-driven techniques that go back for thousands of years, we still need to bring it to today's market where people will look at it as a way that it still lives in design and continue to go forward. And it's a wonderful opportunity for all of us because part of the mission is keeping craft relevant, making people letting them understand how important it is to keep these techniques alive so that market viability within a handmade design, balancing traditional technique and authenticity with relevancy that is in the market. We like to see 6 to 8 images. Of course, high quality, high definition, clear images. We capture multiple angles of the detail and visual. So if you're taking those pictures, front, back, side, bottom, every little corner where we get to look at the detail. So think of when we're putting collections through quality control, we're looking at every little corner and looking for excellence. Close up of the technique, so the craftsmanship and materials, we want to see a close up of that. And of course, the option is putting images in a lifestyle frame, whether you're merchandising for social media, you're setting it up for a booth. Think about taking an image of it lifestyled into how does that product live? How is it being used? Those are also very appealing pictures. And of course, that compelling brand story. So think strong heritage, the craftsmanship narrative, transparent sourcing, fair trade practices. That's really important because we are standing behind fair trade, the techniques, the policies, the transparency, that channel of sustainability, that has to be clear. We can't just say it. When we can affirm it and show it, that's the buyer gets to feel that comfort and know that we are who we say we are. That's really important. Of course, inspiring authentic artisan origins. That's a great way to tell the story because we want to see the artisans behind the brand. The maker matters. There was a campaign a few years ago, who made my clothes. People still want to see that artisan hands, and it gives the artisans much regard to share who they are and their craft and why it is so special. These kind of things are engaging. They're compelling. Of course, they support your visuals and impact. Production readiness. This is kind of like the fine line. This really is going to make all of the difference. So you need to be consistent in your craftsmanship and the standards. Your capacity to fill large POs and repeat orders is really important. We definitely want you to be really clear about that, not to overstate what you think you can do. It will have to be what you know that you can produce. This one big detail here could make the difference of a repeat order and a buyer collaborating further with you. So if you are small batch and niche in that way, it's okay to say so. If you cannot handle the larger capacity, it's really important to be clear about that up front. We also need to see proven systems, meeting the lead times consistently. Of course, strong quality control, attention to detail, and that's the finished product, and making sure that all of the details that are there, that they are executed in an excellent capacity. They want perfection. So that's is what we want to give. The next page, we're going to look at the link. So this QR code here will take you directly to the application that you need to fill out for submission. That's pretty self-explanatory. If you have questions about the application and the process, please reach out to let us know, and we will help guide you further through that. Review. So here's the area where we'll go through. Isabella will work on sort of process, your sort of paper things, and finding out if you really qualify from a business perspective. I will be diving more into your collection, and looking at the curation, having comments on your storytelling. These are the kind of mentoring that happens within the process. A very strong collection review. We will be putting together additional guidelines, and those additional guidelines that I'll share with you is more about style. And whether the design is meeting the point, whether the color presentations are on market. And there'll also be some additional color trends that will come out through their runway stories, which you'll get a separate reference sheet for that so that you can see the direct trends for the runway at the show, how they have interpreted the larger global trends and color palettes so that it can give you a stronger lead into designing something that really fits what they're looking for at the show for that point of reference. And you'll have a reference for that, and I can line up your designs that may fit that, but most importantly, give you a scale of it. What does that interpretation mean? Every show will have a different trend, very creative with their names. I will identify what that means in real fashion so that you can understand how to translate that trend or what the expectation is. I always like to say elegance is no longer defined by brands. It is, but the soul of your choices. Let your wardrobe reflect the beauty of fair fashion. And so that is sort of everlasting for me in that way. Thank you for joining. It's me, Dondrill. Thank you for being here, and we're ready for Q&A.
I would like to add a few words
Please
since
do.
have been together at the show last year. There have been a lot of lessons learned. So for this year, we will be putting together a digital catalog, which will bring all of you together in one spot. This is going to be available online, but if possible, I would like to print as well so that people who are coming by the stand, we can give them something in their hands to take back with them. So this is why when you receive the link with the application process, you have a few documents in there. Please be sure to give us way in advance good pictures, a nice description of your brand, your logo in high resolution as well, etc., etc. So we have the time to make something which people will really, appreciate. The second part is, as you know, sorry. I'm sorry. Somebody is insisting on the phone. So the second very important part is that, as you know, when we put all of your products on the stand, we are not putting your branding in there because we want to create this unified vision. So we have 10 different brands or 11 different brands represented there. So we cannot put each and every one brand's branding on that stand. If not, it's not going to look visually appealing. So what we do is Dondrill beautifully arranges those collections so that it feels like one fashion closet actually. And then we're using your QR codes. So those QR codes, people are actively scanning them. So it is of utmost importance that your profile on the WFTO website, where the QR codes is leading people in, are stunning. I want to see bold, beautiful images. I want to see catalogs people can download. I want to see contact details, websites, and all of that. So for those who are, thinking about participating, this was one of those things which were lacking. A few of our participants last time did the work, but I believe we can do better. We can do stronger. This show is really a professional show. People coming to our stands are not people who are working around. Many brands are looking for future partners to develop collections together, to do things. People are not buying off the rack per se. We didn't place any orders. People are looking for contact and connection. So we need to give them visually also that appeal. Regarding the booth presentation, we are extremely well located. So the show moved locations, but the layout kind of stayed the same. So you have the main entrance with a few booths, and then there's this huge catwalk and that huge scene in the middle, and then the booths are all around. We are very lucky. You can see our booth from the catwalk, so people who are gathering to see those shows have a direct view on our booth. This is why this time we want to have bigger, bolder, huger images which are going to be visible from very far away. But in order to do that, I need very high resolution pictures. Last time the biggest we were able to print were like A3 formats, because after that they were becoming flu. So please make an effort to send us at least 3-4 artisan at works, technique showing, really those images showing not your product but showing your art, really, so that we can make this booth a really beautiful display of your work. So this is very important, and as Dondrill said, you will go through the application process and you will receive additional guidelines as well. So we do have some time before the presentation and before going there. So I'm hoping that you guys can really follow those guidelines, and we can have a beautiful stand all together. Regarding the selection of the show, the fashion show, the runway, the catwalk presentation, it is very important that very early on we provide them with photos. This is how they do their selection, and very early on, this was a very big surprise, because last edition they sent us the catwalk trends, and 1 week later they asked for us to send pieces, which we were absolutely not ready for. So this time, if you have already any pieces which could match that criteria selection, please do share those pictures additionally with me, so that I can keep on sending the organizers of the show, because they are selecting them. It's not up to us to put them on the runway or not. So I want to this time bombard them with pictures and bombard them with options and opportunities to put at least 1 or 2 pieces on the catwalk. So for those who are serious about it, please do so. Please put in the work. We are May 11th. We have a little bit less than 2 months to put this together. So it requires some commitment and some energy for all those who want to participate. Again, we will be on the stand ourselves, including Sarah, who is here with us. So we are 3 ladies, sharply, aggressively promoting fair trade,
Yes, exactly.
fair trade fashion. serve you well. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. Isabella, may I add for brands in terms of those submissions, as you said, we need them as soon as possible. What I'm going to do is I'll be working this week to get you the translation of what those trends look like and what that expectation is around it so that you can have that as a reference guide. For now, I want you to I suggest that you start to look at your color palettes, look at your most unusual sort of experimental designs. It's time to give them a different, another look to see where they can go, or if you might have pieces that have not hit the market or you haven't had the response. It could be something very interesting that they may be interested. But I'll give you again what that can look like to guide you, and you will have that sooner than later. And I'll start to work on that later today, so that we have that, and we can sort of match it up, and then what Isabella mentioned about your QR code and all of those fine details. It's really important. What we got a lot, her and Sarah and I, was pricing. People wanted to know pricing a lot. What's the price? What's the price? Also, they want to know what your minimums are. So whether it's going to be based on a dollar amount, your open order is this amount and you can mix and blend, or is it you want this amount and the minimum of this is, 20 pieces, 12 pieces, and this is what the wholesale price. That can, not having that information ready can change a buyer in 2 minutes, because if they're interested, we have to grab them right then and there and be able to arm them with the information that they need to make a decision about the brand. So the more that you give us all of those details, that we can answer that question much faster and keep them engaged in the collection that they're looking at.
And now let's open the floor for questions.
Yeah.
So please do feel free to unmute yourself if you have any questions
Great.
and ask. I'm not sure if there were any in the chat.
No, just Lewis had one question. I answered it. If you want to see if that about it wants a hard copy. So I said I'd work with you to give him a reference, and so we can talk about that later. Yeah.
Hello, young ladies. Can I ask a question?
Hi.
Hello, sorry. Two things. First of all, it's a beautiful project. I think you're working very hard. We in our organization do these shows. We went ambiente, so we come on New York, so we know that it's not easy. It's not easy when it's a group of people in there, no? And we appreciate for that. I think that I'm speaking now as a WFTO Latin American, we know that we wish to have more people challenge themselves to come to this kind of shows. There are organizations that don't even have the means to do it. So this is an opportunity to do it. So I'm kind of surprised, not shocked, because I know my members. But I think Sugel and I will promote more organizations in Latin America and need to participate in this project. The other thing is, it's going to be would be important to have maybe a Zoom with the organization that participating in January and with you all and discuss things that our feelings, how us, you can ask directly questions to us and how can we can improve if we will participate in this second leg, as you call it. But I think that it's important to have an input from the organizations that were part of that. All positive, of course, nothing bad. I don't want to scare you. The thing is that it's important to have the feedback, no? So we can maybe that will help also bring other organizations to participate in this second act. No, I don't know. I just putting it in your ears to see how you feel about it, or maybe no now answer, but you discuss among yourselves and then come up with kind of a recommendation, a comment. No?
Sure. We can discuss that. We will be organizing more Zooms as well, so those are going to be avenues for you to talk directly. We can, we had 3 or 4 Zooms last time for those who were selected. So I think those could be a good avenues as well to exchange those ideas and go deeper in that for sure.
Perfect. Thank you much.
Sarah, would you like to add anything? I'm taking
please
surprise.
do.
Is my sound okay?
Hi, Sarah. Yes.
Um, did you say me to add something? No.
Not necessarily. You don't have
Oh,
to.
okay.
Hi, Sarah is the third, of us who is present at the stand. She's also our anchor in the UK. So, she's helping us with receiving the materials, with sending them back, and so on, with the logistics, which are not easy to, put all together. So just wanted to thank her again for the beautiful work she did last time, and start gearing the energy for the next one.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. This
Oh, no,
morning,
Sarah's
wonderful. All of you, but Sarah was kind of my God, we have an experience. She comes us a lot. Thank you very much.
Oh,
that's
thank you.
wonderful. That's
Yeah.
wonderful. She's pretty fantastic.
I think there'll be a lot of excitement again at the stand this year. I mean, for the second one, I think people will be coming back and they'll recognize us, and
Absolutely.
and I think it'll really build upon the conversations that we had in January. And I know there's a few conversations going on with some potential new buyers based on the stand. So yeah, I think it'll be really positive.
I think so too. We made quite an impression in January for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, then I'm going to officially close the session. Thank you so much for attending, and thank you for the WFTO team for their support and their time with us. And I hope to see you all soon, very soon, in the next activity. And for those, of course, who are within the UK, we're looking forward to seeing you at the show.
Very
Bye-bye.
much so. Bye-bye. Thank you so much.